We're here today to announce charges in the tragic murder of our fallen hero, Officer Areanah Preston. She was a beloved daughter, sister, and friend who wanted to make a difference in this world. Those who knew her would tell you that that's exactly what she did. She wanted to help create a better future for Chicago, but the incomprehensible actions of 4 offenders took that future from her, and the loss to this city is tremendous. Trevor Breland, age 19, Joseph Brooks, also age 19, Jaquan Buchanan, age 18, and a 16-year-old juvenile who will also be charged as an adult, have all been charged with first-degree murder for the killing of Areanah Preston, who was just 24 years old. The offenders will also be charged with multiple counts, including armed robbery, arson, burglary, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, and unlawful use of a weapon. These individuals were out looking for victims in the overnight hours of Friday into Saturday morning and are connected to multiple robberies and a motor vehicle theft earlier that morning, leading up to the murder of Officer Preston. As Officer Preston was returning home from her tour of duty early Saturday morning, 4 offenders pulled up in a stolen vehicle. The offenders quickly exited the vehicle and ran towards Officer Preston while armed. An offender fired at Officer Preston, who returned fire. The offenders continued to shoot Officer Preston, and an offender stole Officer Preston's weapon before all offenders fled the scene in a stolen vehicle. An officer from the 4th District was responding to a call of a traffic crash when he discovered Officer Preston. This officer immediately rendered aid and drove Officer Preston to the hospital where she was pronounced. I'd like to take this time to ask that everyone keeps this officer and all the responding officers that day in your prayers as they process the trauma that they experienced. I want to thank the community for its help in bringing closure to and justice to Areanah, and thanks to our detectives from Area 2 and the officers who worked tirelessly to identify and apprehend these individuals. Through the grief of losing a fellow CPD officer, they worked their investigation to bring justice to Areanah and her family. I also want to thank our federal partners, including ATF and FBI, who's represented here today by Christopher Amon, Special Agent in charge of the ATF, and Daenerys Coleman, Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI, who offered support and resources throughout this investigation. I also wanted to acknowledge Cook County State's Attorney's Office, who's represented here today by Chief Deputy Assistant State's Attorney Thora Martin, for working with us. To all of our community members who have supported and shown kindness in the wake of this heartbreak, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I ask that everyone continue to pray for Areanah's family and as they navigate this world without her. While we know this does not ease the pain, we hope that knowing the people responsible for her murder have been caught and brings a small measure of peace to them. Though Areanah is not physically here with us, her spirit and service and kindness will forever carry on, and we will never forget her. Right now, I'd like to bring up the Commander of the 5th District, Commander Tyrone Pendarvis. Tyrone.
Thank you, sir. How you doing today? My name is Commander Tyrone Pendarvis of the 5th District, and I came to speak on Areanah Preston. No one can argue that Areanah Preston was a star, a rising boss on his job. When I think back on the time that we met, I was new in my role as a commander, and in passing, she made her presence known by demanding I acknowledge her by saying, "Hi, Commander, hi, Commander." At that, affected me because even after that, she continued to acknowledge her presence with me. Her last arrest that evening, even the arrestee, once finding out the news of what had happened, she wept. But that speaks to the credit of Officer Preston, because she connected with everyone. She made everybody, she was empathetic to everyone's problems, regardless on what role they were in, as far as arresting officer or arrestee. Everyone came to contact with her was affected by this news, and she will truly be missed. I'm grateful to Preston. I'm grateful for Officer Preston, her family, the 5th District, the City of Chicago, and this department that justice was served, or as far as these individuals being arrested. These charges won't bring Areanah back, but at least it'll put us on a journey to get over this loss, not as if we will ever get over the loss. But from day forward, we vow to always honor the brave officer, extraordinary person of Police Officer Areanah Preston. Thank you.
I'd like to have special. Thank you, Superintendent. First of all, on behalf of ATF, we want to send our sincere condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Officer Preston and the entire Chicago Police Department. This tragic violence is unacceptable here in the great city of Chicago. Our law enforcement partnerships will not allow this to continue, and these charges today represent the efforts of the collaboration among the men and women of CPD, ATF, FBI, the state's attorney's office, and the citizens of Chicago. I've directed every ATF resource available to investigate the crimes not only charged today, but resources to assist CPD in solving firearm violence affecting Chicago each and every day. And finally, ATF and our partners will honor Officer Preston's memory by focusing our resources on investigating prolific, violent gun offenders with a sense of urgency that is so desperately needed to prevent another tragedy. Thank you very much. Chris, right now, we'll take any general questions you have. If I can't answer, Chief Rossetti from the Detective Division will answer, or anyone else on the dais here.
Joni Lum from Fox 32. It seemed like you were able to move quickly on this. Was it previous investigative information or a community tip that helped turn this for detectives?
A combination of all the above. We got community input and support with some information, but also great work by Area 2 Detective Division in following up. They did a tremendous job in piecing this together, but it was a combination of both.
Morning, Superintendent Sam Charles from the Tribune. Could you say if the suspects who were charged today, if they had been involved in any other incidents in and around the area prior to Officer Preston's shooting?
That morning, they had committed several other armed robberies and a motor vehicle theft.
All within the same general area or more spread out?
It was spread out across several districts, but within that morning's time frame just prior to.
Thank you.
GN, I just wanted to ask, had at least, well, I've been told at least 2 of those suspects had active warrants out for other incidents. Can you kind of speak? Other 2 suspects had warrants as well, and what their previous?
They were currently, they did have juvenile arrest warrants.
And then my other question is, you said that the 16-year-old adult, are we able to get his name? Car that was involved, you said it was?
Yes, I'll leave that to Chief Rossetti.
The vehicle that was stolen and used in the commission of this offense was taken on the 4700 block of South Indiana at approximately 12:45 a.m. on the morning of Saturday, May 6th.
Taken like an hour before this happened?
Yes.
Thank you.
The stolen vehicle was a red Kia Forte.
Superintendent Patrick Smith from WBEZ. Can you say anything more about what the alleged offenders here did after the shooting of Officer Preston?
It's still an active investigation with some details to be cleared up, so I don't want to get all into that, if you would.
Could you say what happened to the officer's gun that was taken? The proffer suggests it may have been sold by the offenders. Do you have that weapon recovered at this point?
We are investigating this incident as involving the weapon being stolen at the time that the offense was committed, and we have not recovered Officer Preston's weapon at this time.
I know a lot has been said about the shot spotter alert that came in with 9 rounds. what was the issue here? Was there a backlog? Did this go to the bottom of the list? Is there an investigation internally into what happened?
Been looked at, but I'll have Chief McDermott come up and give me an answer.
Morning, everybody. I don't think it's appropriate at this time for me to comment on our gunshot detection technology or response times, but I'll be more than happy to get with anybody offline through News Affairs to answer your questions, go through a timeline if you want. You know, this is a time we should be focusing on grieving and offering our thoughts and prayers to the Preston family and being there for Areanah's friends and fellow Chicago police officers. You know, this is a terribly tragic incident, and I don't believe we should be placing blame on anyone other than squarely on the backs of the 4 offenders who are discharged with murder.
Interim Superintendent Carter, I'm Suzanne Lomagno with CBS 2 News. Question regarding something you mentioned. You said that the officer that responded rendered aid and he was responding to a traffic crash. Did I understand that correctly? And if that is correct, did her Apple Watch alert dispatch? Did it call 911 to say that she was in a traffic crash? And is that why you responded there?
That is the alert, yes.
And just to follow up on Mr. McDermott, any response that you have regarding the time that it took to get there with Apple Watch and just the shot spotter alert?
Good morning, Sue. Michelle Gallardo with ABC7. I have a couple of questions for you. You say that at the time there were the 4 offenders that are now presumably charged that exited the vehicle. Were all 4 of them armed, and did all 4 of them discharge their weapons?
I will leave that to Chief Rossetti, but right now it's just...
We know that at least 3 of the 4 offenders exited the vehicle, and we believe that at least 2 of the offenders fired their weapon.
Do we know which ones?
This is still an ongoing investigation. We don't have that specific information right now for you.
Okay. And my second question is, we had information earlier that there were 2 women that had been arrested as well at the time, and that they may not have been charged in exchange for them testifying. Is this correct? Or what can you tell us about these 2 women that had been arrested as well?
A lot of work was done throughout the course of this investigation, as I think everyone has acknowledged, and that included doing a lot of interviewing and with several people taken into custody. The only thing that we're able to focus on right now are the 4 offenders that we're discussing who were charged and who are accountable for this murder.
Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. The vehicle, you said it was a red Kia. What happened to that vehicle? Where was it located?
That vehicle was located on approximately the 7200 block of South Roads. It was involved in a car fire at approximately 2 a.m. on the same morning, approximately 20 minutes after everything happened. We believe it to be an intentional car fire.
Because that's the arson charge, right? Okay. Amy Jacobson, AM 560 WIND. Was Officer Preston in uniform when she was fatally shot? She was, okay. And you had mentioned that there was, we don't know where the weapon is right now. Do you believe it was sold?
Sorry?
Her weapon, I know that you mentioned you weren't in possession of her weapon. Has it been sold on the street? Do you know?
Never said we were in possession of her weapon.
Pardon?
Said we were in possession of her weapon.
You're not in possession of her weapon, so I was wondering what happened to the officer's weapon.
Vendors took the weapon from the scene. We're still looking into the weapon itself, recovering the weapon.
Okay, and I have a question for the Assistant State's Attorney, Thor Martin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, hi. I'm not sure which one of these 19-year-olds, but people, the neighbors say they are known thugs, known drug dealers and arms dealers at their young age of 19. One of these 19-year-olds pushed his mom and a television down the stairs. Why weren't these individuals behind bars?
This afternoon, you're going to get a bond hearing where the background of these individuals that we can present will be presented. That's all we have to say at this time.